All right, a quick thing about the roads. I've received a number of comments on the couple places I posted this about cutting the Lego roads, and that's awful, and why would you do that? I went through that in my head because no one wants to cut a Lego, especially because, Legos aren't the cheapest thing, and once you cut one, you've pretty much ruined it. But I have reasons for why I ended up cutting the roads. I'll try and explain it here. So, we've got a modular building here. We've got a Lego road. Now, you can line up the road with the building, boom, just like this. That's what most people do. They've got these extra 6 bricks. They'll either use it as parking or they'll tile over it and just have an extra wide sidewalk. I like the width of the sidewalk. I think it's to scale. They've already got the lampposts in there. It looks right for an old, packed downtown kind of area that the modular buildings are supposed to represent. So I like the width. I don't want an extra wide one, and I like it. I like that they've smoothed it, so I don't like the extra stud sitting there as parking. Also, I had space issues, which was the main motivator for cutting mine. But if you don't have space issues, you still run into these problems. So here's the road this wide. One option is to just overlap the modular on top, and you could just set it there. You'd have these weird little studs, but it would work. I have seen people, if you set it back one stud, you can actually layer one level of plates and then a double layer of flat plates, and it makes a nice smooth sidewalk that's too high. Looks really good, not a problem. I totally would have done that. The problem with that comes in when you get to a corner. So you've got your road here, you've got the corner right here, and then now I've got this weird 6 brick corner on the edge of the corner. What do I do with it? I could slide the building over if it's a corner building and just have it right on the corner. What's wrong with that? You make a nice little overlap, no problem. Well, now I've got the 6 on the other side. So I've got to come to grips with these extra 6 no matter what if I want the modular building flush with the road. And that's ultimately the issue. So then you're like, oh, we'll just cut the corner of the corner out. Like if you're going to do cutting, why not just cut the corner and not the roads? Okay, so I cut the corner out. I've still got that overlap because the crosswalk, so I could cut the crosswalk off, then I lose the crosswalk, and the crosswalks line up really nicely with the corner of the modulars, and I like the crosswalk, so I don't want to lose those. So you end up cutting all the roads. Now the downside is, here's the town. You've got a corner, and you're like, okay, that fits in nicely, a little with the crosswalks lining up, a full road plate, side cut off, okay. Then you skip down to the next corner, it looks good, crosswalk. Now I've got a weird length because it's 6 studs shorter. Ultimately, you have to come to a 6 stud equalization at some point. So you have to cut a road tile 6 short. On the other lengths, which are 2.5 modulars long, you're coming in 6 studs on both sides. You can have 2 full roads, and then you've got a little weird width distance in the middle, which I chose to just use an off-cut crosswalk. Since when I had a 3-way intersection, I used a 4-way intersection and cut one side off entirely so I could still have all the crosswalks. So I just added an extra crosswalk in the road. That looks pretty good. So anyways, that's a little bit more explanation as to why I cut. When I didn't have to cut, I didn't cut. So on edges that are towards the edge of the table or away from where there's no buildings on either side, I didn't cut. And the side benefit was now I've got all these offcuts of 6 studs, which ends up being less than 6 because you're kind of ruining a set of studs as you cut. But I was able to take all these offcuts, I cut them all down to uniform 4 studs, and I was able to fill in this entire area with 4 wide, and it looks just like I've got gray base plates that are customized. And over on the side here, I've got a bunch of stuff sitting on it, but I've custom filled in that edge so that you've got a clean line between the gray of the roads and the green leading out to the side. So having those offcuts actually worked out because now I had material that I wasn't afraid to cut because it was either ruined or I could find another purpose for it. Anyways, that's a little explanation I thought I'd give you guys. We'll be back with another video soon.